Thrive is made possible by the Miracle Channel family and their generous donations.
Wherever there's an incredible value for others, a love for others, that is where people just thrive.
Good morning. Today we are talking about toxic masculinity. What in the world is toxic masculinity? I brought a toxic masculine man on the show with me today. He's my brother-in-law, Jayden. He's not toxic. We bug each other. That's what brothers do. That's how brothers show they love each other.
It is.
So let's clear the record. He's not a toxic. In fact, he's one of the best men I know, to be honest.
I appreciate that.
And so we wanted to talk about toxic masculinity and what is a biblical man of masculinity? What does it mean? Why is this phrase called toxic and masculinity? How do they come together? We'll touch on that in a second, but I first want to tell you a bit about last week. Last week was our fundraiser, and it was such an amazing time where we talked through God's word. We had Jim Baker on, so if you missed it, I thought I'd show you one of his clips because now I kind of am reviewing, for those who are our regulars, I'm kind of reviewing some stuff because we are now nationwide across the country, and there's over 2.3 million homes who are watching Miracle Channel.
So cool.
And so to those people, I want to say welcome to the East Coast. It's so good to have you here on Thrive. This is a daily show where we are live at 11 a.m. Mountain Time every single day, and you can join us. You can call the number on your screen, connect with us, get prayer requests, be encouraged, and just honestly have an amazing time talking through God's word. But if you missed our fundraiser last week, I want to show you who was on it. His name's Jim Baker, and here's a punchy clip of one of his teachings about finances. So take a look at it.
Anyone in here besides me ever been broke? Well, here's what the King James would say about being broke. It stinketh. Right? There's nowhere in the Bible that's like, oh, Lord, give me a double portion of poverty. It's so wonderful, right? Broke is a temporary financial condition. Poverty is a lens that only sees meager possibilities. Listen, guys, when you only see meager possibilities, it's going to severely limit God's ability to get involved in your finances. Prosperity starts with who you have, not what you have. Like it's actually in his name, provider. Like that should have been a big clue to us. He's not Jehovah Lackey, right? He's not the God of not enough, right? He's the God of more than enough. Because somehow religion has beaten us down. It's so good to be poor, and we're going to spank that in the face here in just a little bit. So
that's Jim Baker. You'll notice he's a little bit punchy, and I love that because he kind of brings the truth right to the top. Like you sense it and know it. And he's got these one-liners. So if you missed our fundraiser, I want to encourage you to go to our YouTube page right now. Just search The Miracle Channel on YouTube, and you'll notice there was like a live event. You'll click on the live tab and watch the fundraiser. You'll see his teachings there. You can interact with us. You can connect with us. You can still call the number anytime. We've got this phone line open all the time. So if you want to become a donor and donate to the Miracle Channel, I encourage you to do so. We are doing so many amazing things, and we need more donors to continue to give to the Miracle Channel so we can expand, go further, do more, because the dream and the vision is quite great. I dream of so many cool things where we maybe do clothing centers for the poor, help them find affordable clothing, maybe food banks, all sorts of stuff where we can just meet the needs of the people in our country, but we need finances to do that. So I want to ask, would you give of your best gift? You can call actually right now, even if you want to. You don't have to watch a fundraiser to do that, but I want to encourage you to do that. Toxic masculinity, what in the world is it?
Well, it's funny because I even just was like, I better just Google what
the word is?
The definition of what toxic masculinity is.
And it's good.
It
annoys me.
Like, it's funny. I'll read it to you. So toxic masculinity refers to a harmful set of social constructed norms and expectations that often pressure men to suppress emotions, demonstrate dominance, and engage in aggressive behavior. So, like, I get why that would be toxic. If that's...
But the reason that I say it, so like I would say this to someone, there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. No such thing. It doesn't not exist. And they would say, well, no, it does. You just read the definition of it.
Yeah.
Because masculinity in its nature of the word masculinity is protection, providing, loving. That's a masculine, those are masculine words. So how do those two things go together?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I honestly think it's a direct attack on the man.
Yes.
Because if you can destroy, I truly believe this is an attack on the enemy. If you can destroy the man, you destroy the home and you destroy the purpose and the call on it.
Yep.
Because true masculinity is provision, it's providing, it's protection, it's caring, it's and it's even, what was the last, can you read the last bit of it? It irks me so bad, that last sentence. Let me see what it says.
It's where it says, Social construction norms, expectations that often pressure men to suppress emotions, demonstrate dominance, and engage in aggressive behaviors.
That is so ridiculous. Suppress emotions. So even that, it's like, okay, so then you just let emotions run rampant?
Yeah.
So if you feel something, express it.
Yeah.
If I did that, I'd be in jail
Yeah.
a long time ago. So I absolutely will teach all my children, my boys and girls, to suppress emotion at the right times, in the right moments, when and where. Of course, there's some emotions that for sure you express them and explore them and let them, like, I'm not saying like, but there are times when you need to be taught how to control them.
Yeah.
It's like emotions are warning signs on the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you don't just, like they help us guides, but there's some times where they can get out of hand.
For sure.
And if you explore them too much, good Lord, your life will run rampant.
Yeah, and even a funny example is like, and I've curbed it. Well, most of it anyways. I used to have a massive temper, which is funny to see that because, but
Jake, explore that. Just stay in it. Don't suppress it. Go for it.
Just be angry.
Just be angry all the time. It's like, what are we talking about? So even that one phrase is such a misguided leading way.
Yeah. And the funny example of it is like, I was a 14-year-old kid, and I used to play racket sports a lot, like heavily. Maybe it's the Asian in me that I like the rackets. I don't know what it is, but it was, and I was very competitive, and I was very good. Yeah. And I was in a tournament, and I was in the final, and I remember missing a shot and getting angry, and then missing another shot and getting angry. And I was facing a guy that was way below me in skill, but I ended up losing the tournament because the emotions, I just got so angry and whatever. But then I learned how to actually, after that tournament, I said, that's never going to happen again. And I learned how to control those emotions and harness that. Okay, that I missed that shot, but that's okay. Next time now, do this, and this, and fix it. And I harness that into it.
That's a discipline. Yeah, you're so right, because it's like, I heard a guy say the best version of you is the most disciplined version of you.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that's how I'd categorize controlling emotions, is not suppressing and crushing, but disciplining yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I think most people think that emotion, if you feel an emotion, it's true. It's the truth. And it's like, no, I've had emotion where I thought someone intended to say something to me, and I've let it get me, and I stew on it, and I go home, and I think about it more, and I get really upset. And the next time I see them, I can't even look at them in the eye because I'm so bothered by it. And then all of a sudden you find out the truth later on, and they're like, I did what? I didn't even do that at all.
100%.
I didn't know. And you feel like an idiot because you're just like, I'm so sorry. Like they don't even know how much judgment you gave on them because you decided to stew on an emotion for so long. There was the other line beside the other one. Sorry, I want to unpack this.
No, I'll read it again.
This is why I want to unpack these, because the devil's in the details here. It's like the nuances where culture is going to try to pump up toxic masculinity, and I'm here to debunk it and say, no, biblical masculinity is power, protection, provision, providing.
Yeah, a harmful set of socially constructed norms, which is also a funny one.
What does that even mean?
Expectations that often pressure men to suppress emotions, demonstrate dominance, and engage in aggressive behavior. That's what
demonstrate dominance. What is that? So, like, I guess that what they're alluding to is control. Yeah. But again, like I said, if you're using the word masculinity is protection. It's not that. So dominance is, in the negative sense, to control someone. Yeah.
If you dominate your wife or you dominate your kids, you walk into the house and there's this fear attached to it because dad is this dominant ruler where if I don't do this, this is going to happen. And if you don't do this.
And that would be, the whole point here is like, why are they attaching this to masculinity? Yeah. The word masculine, so that would just be called dominance, male or female. Yeah. To dominate your family members is dominate. So it's not tied to just masculinity, it's tied to dominance. Do not dominate people. You can dominate in sports and all sorts of stuff. Sure, you can be, but the Bible teaches us that true masculinity is a beautiful thing. And I have a few verses here, actually. This verse here, it says, 1 Corinthians 16:13 from the Amplified. Be on guard, stand firm in your faith, in God, respecting his precepts and keeping your doctrine sound. Act like mature men and be courageous and be strong. Yeah. Like even that.
Yeah, I love it. Act like men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny that's the verse you pulled up because we got our men's conference that we run. We just started doing it every year in Springs, and that's actually the verse. That the theme is on it, and the whole title is literally going to be "Act Like Men" because it's such a almost in our society, it's almost a trigger. Like what? what do you mean act like men?
Yeah.
And what I really like about it is the stand firm part.
Yeah.
And just like, if you're a man, just stand firm, stand there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing when you kind of try to go down the path of masculine traits and you start to try to flesh it out, because both of us have boys, and I am teaching my boy to become a man, and I'm teaching him how to handle temper, how to handle, like even right now, I've got them finally to a place where they're ordering their own food at restaurants. I did it at McDonald's the other day, and it was a disaster. And so it was such a disaster. They're all ordering. I was like, never in a drive-thru. Do not teach your children to order food in a drive-thru.
My dad still can't order food. This is hilarious. Like, we'll go somewhere. Sorry if you're watching this, Dad. But I remember from a young age, like, we'll be at McDonald's, and I'll be standing there looking at it and listening to order this food. And then we'll get all our food, and he's like, I didn't order this extra fries. I'm like, Dad, you're so good. He'll be like, okay, I'll get a number 3, which is the Big Mac meal, right? And they're like, he's like, does it come with fries? And I'm like, yeah, it comes with fries. Okay, I'll get an extra fry with that. And in his mind, he's thinking, okay, gotta get the fries. But he's just like, and wherever we go, and maybe it's who knows.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. But anyway, so what I'm teaching is my kids at restaurants and stuff to, like, they go, can I have an extra dip with my wings? Yep. The server's right there. Like, and so they're uncomfortable with it. And you can tell they're like, oh, but I'm putting them in these situations that are slightly uncomfortable so that they can begin to get used to it and handle themselves.
Yeah.
Like even we went into, where did we go? Oh, Canadian Tire. We go into Canadian Tire. We walk in and we were going there for a garden hose.
Yeah.
And we have a new place and I didn't have a hose and it was a hot day. We wanted to fill up a tub to play outside. And we walk inside and I said, okay guys, where are we going? And they're like, I don't know, we're following you. And I was like, why did we come here? I didn't even tell them the answer. And then they were kind of like, to get a hose. Okay, let's find it. And right away they were like, why are you making us do this? And I was like, I'm trying to put them in uncomfortable situations so they can start to realize, all right, I have to provide, I have to protect, I have to do all these things. And so I'm putting them in these situations where they can let those things rise up. Most people would say, I'm not caring for them, or I'm not watching out for them enough, or I'm not doing these things. Like, no, not at all. I'm teaching them in these scenarios how to do that. And actually the other day we woke up, and this is how much it's like bubbling over them. They're getting so confident that they're handling people, is that we live next to a baseball diamond next to our house. And I woke up on the weekend and I look outside my bedroom window and Ellis is playing cricket with a bunch of people out there. I was like, holy, he walked out there and he told Samara that he was out there. And so he was playing by himself, but then he asked if he could play. He was like, can I play? So he's learning these skills that are uncomfortable. And my whole point here is that we have to act like a man. And to be a man means the word courageous is used here. It says act like mature men. And be courageous. And to be courageous is to be uncomfortable. But if you listen to your emotions, well, no, I don't want to be uncomfortable. No, if we're going to live by our emotions, that means you'll never be uncomfortable and you'll never be courageous.
Yeah, like you said, there's I guess a little bit of truth to it. Where you don't want to run rampant and whatever, but there's a fine line, and I think a lot of that comes from just being rooted in what a biblical man means to be, and it'll help you find that line. And whether it's, if you have a temper, there's even a place for it. There is a time and a place for your anger to rise up and do it in a righteous way.
How did you get rid of your temper? You said you don't have it anymore?
It still comes out every once in a while. And it's funny what brought it out as much as, like, your kids can never push your buttons like no other, and that's the most, I think, where I have to be like, okay, but I think this is funny part. It was how much I hated losing that I had to curb and learn how to deal with my temper in that way. And it was just, like you said, strictly discipline and learning how to control my emotions and being like, okay, let's not do this. It wasn't worth it. I lost. And the thought of losing, which is just the competitiveness.
For me, my trigger was being, this sounds so like big when you say this way, being betrayed, or I guess being taken advantage of or lied to. That used to just trigger me in such a deep level of anger, like to the point where I would so spiral that I'd be willing to like go nuclear and I'm phoning them now, or I'm doing this, or I don't care, I'll embarrass myself and say it in front of everyone because I didn't care about the embarrassment. I thought I had to like get them back, and it used to just wreck me, like physically. It used to physically. I'm so glad I haven't done that. Like even the other day, the temptation came. Somebody did do something that did kind of like, it was a lie and kind of like a backstabbing thing, and my blood began to boil, and I immediately went, nope. I'm not going down that road.
Yeah.
They don't have the power to control me,
Yeah.
to upset me. And I just took a deep breath and went, not at all. It's going to slide. I'm going to live in forgiveness. And that's why I think what we're talking about is when you, even just that whole, I love that that's your phrase, act like men.
Yeah.
Is to act like men is to take the high road. It's to choose to be peacemakers. Sometimes peacemakers means
Getting in, fighting.
Getting in and fighting. Like there's many sides to all of this. And that biblical masculine man is someone who has to know when and where and how to use these tools that they have in their belt. It's a big deal.
And the Bible says is the man is the head of the household.
Yeah.
It really is. And
Most
if we
men don't know that, eh?
Yeah.
Gosh,
if we
huge.
don't stand up and rise up as men and be the head of your household, not in like the dominating
Not at all.
whatever, but the
Empowering.
spiritual leader of your house, our wives will stand up and do it.
Yeah.
Like that's just they will.
Yeah.
Especially our wives being sisters and raised by the man that they will. They are strong women. They will rise up and they will do it. So if we don't,
have you ever noticed? Oh, sorry.
No, that's it.
No, you're done. Have you ever noticed? I've noticed this a few times. There's sometimes when I come home and I'm like I'm tired and I'm in a mood, and that I can sense that mood rubbing off on everybody. Like it's like the kids get edgy or and then all of a sudden I can like instantly change it where I go. And I'll be like, okay, nope, knock that off. Okay, why don't we try this, guys? And the whole thing just changes gears. And but even inside, I felt like you know how you kind of feel like you want to sit in your whatever?
It's absolutely.
Isn't that funny?
It feels almost good sometimes to sit in your anger and sit in your wallow, which I think is a tool of the enemy.
I know. It's so weird.
Yeah, even when I fight with my wife, whatever, it's like you just want to sit in this anger because you want to be angry.
And then I've asked my questions sometimes in my head, being like, why do I want to be angry with her?
Yeah,
right
that's
now?
good.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
What does solving this in 3 hours do for me versus 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Like right now. Why not right here? And again, that's to me, that's acting like men.
Yeah.
That's what it's referring to.
Yeah.
The world would say that don't act like men.
Yeah.
Stay away from the manly features. It's like no. Biblical masculinity is powerful. Another verse here, and there's a couple here. I'll read a few of them. Husbands, love your wives. Seek the highest good for her, and surround her with caring and unselfish love, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. It's like, look at the ultimate example of love there. It's like pure sacrifice, pure protection, pure love and grace and mercy, undeserved care. That's what Jesus' example of the church is for us. Here's another one, 1 Timothy 5:8. If anyone fails to provide for his family, to provide for his own, and especially for those of his own family. Like look how broad that already is.
Yeah.
He has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever.
Wow.
That give me chills.
That's wild.
It's beautiful. Hey, like it's
Yeah.
wild. That talk about masculinity, care and provision and protection.
Yeah.
Why are all these words P's?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Protection, provision, and
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing all these P words. They all come off the tongue. But talk about that, hey?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And we just recently had a men's breakfast and our speaker gave
I missed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. His testimony, and he wasn't a believer, but he
wasn't a believer when he was at his testimony, but he is now.
Yeah, absolutely. He became a believer actually going through prison and everything like that. But what he thought was a man and what he thought he needed to do as a man was completely wrong. He stole money, he did these things, and he went on the run just because he thought that's what he needed to do to survive and to provide for his family. But when he was in prison, he learned what it means, what God's love for him, what actually meant to be a man. And the thing that he focused on and the thing that really, really changed him on what God was unconditional love. And I think when we have, if we have unconditional love for our family, for our friends, and those we need to protect, the way that we do it is like in this honorable, incredible way.
So it was God's unconditional love that changed him first?
Yeah, so the chaplain gave him 3 verses to focus on. Yeah. And these 3 verses were, he says he couldn't remember what they were, but he knows they were around unconditional love. And that's what really changed him. His wife was unconditionally loving him. He didn't really know what it was to have unconditional love. Just didn't even understand it.
Wow.
And then God began to show him the people who had unconditional love. He was cheating on his wife, doing all these things, and she was seeing him every single day. Her parents sold their house just to finance bail or something, whatever. And so God was showing him this picture of unconditional love and what it actually means to have unconditional love. But
I know it's an interesting thing because I'm trying, as I raise my son, I'm trying to show him, because like he was asking me literally yesterday, why are men and women bodies so different? And I said, oh, it's an awesome question. Like, I was like, because God needs you to carry a certain role, and he needs them to carry a certain role, and both are so beautifully accenting. Like, they go together and they fit together so perfectly. And I said, but you will notice that you're generally stronger than most women, not always, generally, but that's because men are to protect. We're protectors. And I said, so use your strength for good. Protect your sister. I know sometimes you as an 8-year-old boy feel like punching your sister. And I said, but protect her. Don't hurt her. And he had these funny responses, but I was like, no, that is ultimately why.
That's so good.
I said, we are designed and created to protect, to be men of God. It's a big deal.
And I think part of what the world expects even, or what you see of a man and what the world says is like, shoulder everything on your own too. And I think that's just a big myth as well too, of like not, you know, taking the whole stress of everything on your shoulders. Just because you're supposed to be the head of your household doesn't mean you take everything and you don't share it with your wife. And so there's this teamwork that you have to do with your wife, even though you are the head of the household, that you guys shoulder things together.
I think what you're describing too is the side of courage that most people don't explore. They usually, the only time people think of courage is in the face of fear and I'll be crazy. Courage is in the quiet moments. It's in the uncertain moments. It's in the sometimes opening up to your wife and going, I don't know what to do here, sweetie. Being truthful, not being fake. But that's the side of courage. That courage is very broad. It's really,
and that's not relinquishing your head of the household title or anything like that when you talk to your wife about those things. That's being the proper head of the household when you open yourself up that way.
Knowing when to apologize. Like Leon, one of the best lessons Leon taught me was, he was saying, do you know that verse about being, as you referred to, being the head of your household? And he goes, what does it mean to be the head? To be the leader. So what do leaders do? And he goes, leaders are typically first. Where most people think it's holding a trophy first. He's like, nope. It's the first to apologize, the first to protect, the first to love, the first to provide, the first to, and he goes, so be first. Because if you're going to be the father of your children and the husband to your wife, be first to apologize, be first to reflect, be first here, lead in the way that the home's direction needs to go, so that the home can actually be led. Because if you're not doing that God's way, you're not designing the home God's way. Like that was one of the biggest things I've ever learned, because you hear these verses, and I never did these because of these verses, but you just kind of grow up used to being selfish, used to meeting all your needs, and thinking that your wife is just going to do that and cook for me and provide for me and do all these things that I think I need. And then when you realize, no, my mom actually said this too once. She goes, the key to an amazing marriage is to meet your wife's needs like they're your own. And then she began to unpack, being like, if you feel like you need water, just grab a second one anyway and give her water, and I'll guarantee you it'll bless her. Because if you need water, there's a good chance she needs water.
That's really good.
And she's essentially saying, like, for everything. Do that for everything. If you think about how effortlessly we look after our own needs, you know what I mean? You'll be sitting on the couch and be like, oh, I'm hungry, or I need this, or I need that. And if someone asks you, hey, Jay, can you get me a bag of chips? You'd be like, sure. Like, but you see that slight
hesitation. Like, Jeremy, I'm sitting here beside you. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. But if your brain said, I want chips, you just hop up and get chips. There's no question. And so essentially, that's what she's speaking to.
That's really cool.
He's like, make her needs equal to your needs, because we meet our needs so effortlessly. Make hers that. And I was like, man, what an incredible piece
That's really
of
good.
advice.
One of the things that's funny, Leon told me too, when I was dating Eden, or when we engaged, maybe it was even that conversation I told him I was going to marry her, or asked for his permission to marry her. But he said one of the things that was pivotal in my marriage and with Sally is, he says, when you marry someone, you choose to set your love on that person.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter what you're going through, you've chosen to set your love on that person. So if I'm angry at Eden, it doesn't matter. I've already chosen to set my love on. She's my person. I'm setting my love on her. I'm doing it in every aspect of whatever. But setting your love on your spouse.
That's so good. Now, this last verse here that I want to read here, we only got a couple minutes left, is Titus 2:6-8. It says, in a similar way, urge the young men to be sensible and self-controlled and to behave wisely, so that the opponent may be shamed, having nothing bad to say about us.
That's so funny how much that speaks to me about my opponent being shamed. As a man, it's the competitive in you or whatever, but that is so cool. And I think part of it, what also is the wisdom in there. Like, everything needs to be done with wisdom. And if you do that or if it's done with wisdom, it just is.
Yeah. And look at these are the last few lines is that it says, as biblical men, we need to lead with humility. Ephesians 5:23. We need to protect with strength. Psalms 82:4. We need to provide with diligence. 1 Timothy 5:8. We need to love with sacrifice. Ephesians 5:25. We need to serve with integrity. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Serve with integrity. Micah 6:8. We need to stand in truth and righteousness. 1 Corinthians 16:13. That last one, I think, is one of the greatest roles of a true man, is to stand in truth, is to stand up for truth. You know what I mean? It's like, if truth is being attacked in the Christian world, in the real world, in anything, that's where we need men to take a stand and go, no, enough's enough, sorry, and be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like even, and there was, and I don't, maybe I won't say, no, I will. There was a lot of stuff in the COVID era where when we didn't know the data or information, we acted a certain way. Once we had the data and the information, and I saw the numbers and saw the studies and saw the things, and I started to realize, like for me, it was masks. I started to see how dangerous masks actually were to wear for anything longer than 20 minutes, the way that we handled them from our car floor to this, to this, to this, how dirty they were from our back pocket to our hands and to our face, to breathing that in. I was like, in a proper hospital environment, they work pretty well. Not great, but they still do, but they never touch their mask. And I remember once I had new truth, new data, new information, I realized this is not effective or working at all. And so I began to actually tell people that, hey, do you know how dangerous it is if you wear that for longer than 20 minutes? Make sure you change it every 20 minutes. And it bothered people. But I was like, no, I'm going to let people know data and truth that we have to take a stand for, because it's in truth that we must create or stand up for or protect. And that's so much more than just the mask issue. That's just sensitive for some people. But to me, that was a very literal, physical moment where I was like, no, I want to proclaim, I want to talk, I want to talk, and we should be able to. And so as men, we are required and expected to stand for truth. I love that last one. Stand in truth and righteousness. 1 Corinthians 16, verse 13. You know, this show absolutely flew by. We only have 10 seconds left. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you guys get into the Devoted Devotional. Call us, connect with us. Make sure you ask for prayer requests, and also watch our fundraiser on our Miracle Channel YouTube page from last week. God bless you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thrive is only made possible by the generous donations of people like you. 100% of your donation goes towards ministry efforts. Call today and make a significant impact in the lives of Canadians. Through your financial investment, you are a missionary to the world. Phone lines will remain open for a limited time. Connect with us now by calling 1-800-815-6513 or visit miraclechannel.ca/thrive to leave your comments, prayer requests, and praise reports. Together, let's thrive.